18 days later, Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his ship in Earth orbit, watching the emergency session of Earth Command through his communication screen. He had delivered his impossible report about the hidden human colonies, and now the leaders of humanity's government were struggling to process the implications. "Captain Morrison," said Admiral Helen Carter, the commanding officer of Earth's defense fleet, "your story sounds like science fiction. 2 million hidden humans preparing to liberate themselves from alien captivity, ships with technology beyond our current capabilities? It's almost too incredible to believe." Before Jake could respond, his sensor operator called out urgently, "Captain!" Multiple hyperspace signatures detected across the system. Ships are jumping in from all directions. Jake's heart raced as he looked at the tactical display. Dozens of vessels were appearing throughout Earth's solar system, ships unlike anything in Earth's fleet. They were sleek and angular, with hull designs that seemed to bend light around them. Each one moved with precision and purpose, clearly under intelligent control. "Earth Command, are you seeing this?" Jake called into his communicator. Admiral Carter's voice was tense. "We see them, Captain. Unknown vessels, you are in Earth space without authorization. Identify yourselves immediately." The response came on all communication channels simultaneously. Ryan Blake's face appeared on every screen in the Earth system, from military command centers to civilian news networks. Behind him, Jake could see the command center of New Haven bustling with activity. "People of Earth," Ryan began, his voice calm but carrying undeniable authority. "I am Commander Ryan Blake, speaking to you from the hidden colony of New Haven. What Captain Morrison told you is true. We are the descendants of your lost colonists, and we have returned home." At the same moment, similar broadcasts began transmitting from across the galaxy. On Hegemon Prime, Agent Peter Collins and his sabotage teams had disabled the main communication systems just as planned. The massive space station that served as the hegemony capital was in chaos as their leaders found themselves cut off from their military forces at the worst possible moment. Colonel Sam Davis's voice came through on the military channels. "Earth Defense Command, this is Colonel Davis of the Hidden Fleet. We are transmitting our authentication codes now. Please verify that we are indeed human forces returning home after 2 centuries of exile." Jake watched in amazement as Earth's computers confirmed the impossible. The authentication codes were genuine. They matched records from colony ships that had been lost over 200 years ago. The descendants of those colonists had not only survived but had returned with a fleet that dwarfed Earth's entire navy. "Admiral Carter," Jake said, "you need to see what's happening in hegemony space right now." The tactical display changed to show a galaxy-wide view. Across dozens of star systems, hidden human colonies were revealing themselves simultaneously. Ancient asteroid mining stations shed their camouflage to reveal massive cities. Hidden bases built inside moons activated their shields and weapons. Ships that had been invisible for centuries suddenly appeared on every sensor in the galaxy. Director Carol Adams's voice came from the ice colonies. "Hegemony forces in the Outer Rim. This is Director Adams of the Northern Ice Colony. Your patrol ships are surrounded and outnumbered. Stand down and prepare to be boarded for inspection." The hegemony response was predictably chaotic. Their rigid command structure collapsed when their leaders on Hegemon Prime lost contact with their military forces. Ship captains who had never faced a real threat suddenly found themselves surrounded by human vessels using technology they had never seen before. "Earth Command," came another transmission, this one from Dr. Rodriguez. "We are transmitting technical specifications for our advanced systems. Consider this a gift from your long-lost colonies to your homeworld. With our combined knowledge, humanity will never again be vulnerable to capture or oppression." Jake could see the overwhelming impact this was having on Earth's leadership. In the space of minutes, humanity had gone from being a single-world species with a modest space fleet to being a multi-system civilization with advanced technology and military capabilities that rivaled the galaxy's greatest powers. Katie Sullivan's engineering teams were already demonstrating their superiority over hegemony technology. Her ships moved through space with impossible grace, their stealth drives making them appear and disappear at will. When hegemony vessels tried to lock weapons on them, the human ships seemed to dance away from targeting systems like they were reading the aliens' minds. "The key to our success," Ryan explained to Earth Command, "is that we've spent 2 centuries studying our enemies while they forgot we existed. We know their weaknesses, their tactics, their technology limitations. They know nothing about what we've become." Admiral Carter's voice was filled with awe. "Commander Blake, what are your intentions? Are you planning to conquer the hegemony?" "No, Admiral," Ryan replied firmly. "We want recognition, not conquest. We want the galaxy to acknowledge that humanity deserves its place among the free species of the stars. We've prepared a simple demand for the hegemony leadership." The transmission shifted to show the interior of Hegemon Prime, where Peter Collins had succeeded in capturing several key hegemony leaders. The alien officials looked stunned and frightened as they found themselves face to face with humans they had believed extinct for generations. "Leaders of the hegemony," Ryan's voice echoed through their council chamber. "You took our ancestors prisoner believing you were eliminating a threat to galactic order. Instead, you created something far more dangerous, a human civilization with nothing left to lose in 2 centuries. To prepare for this moment, the captured alien leaders were representatives of a dozen different species, each one realizing that their fundamental assumptions about human capabilities had been completely wrong. The primitive species they had captured and studied had not only survived but had evolved into something that could challenge their entire power structure. Colonel Davis's tactical display showed the true scope of human preparation. Every major hegemony military installation was surrounded. Every communication hub was compromised. Every government facility was within range of human weapons that the aliens had never seen before and could not defend against. "We offer you a simple choice," Ryan continued. "Acknowledge our independence and our right to exist as free people among the stars, or face the consequences of 2 centuries of patient preparation by a species that refuses to remain in captivity." Jake watched as reports came in from across the galaxy. Not a single human colony had been discovered before the coordinated revelation. Not one hegemony ship had managed to mount an effective defense against the sudden appearance of the hidden human fleet. The operation was succeeding beyond even the most optimistic projections. Nina Foster's intelligence network had been perfect. Every piece of information about hegemony capabilities, every analysis of their weaknesses, every prediction about their response had proven accurate. The aliens were not just defeated, they were completely outmaneuvered by descendants of the very people they had captured centuries before. "Admiral Carter," Ryan said, turning his attention back to Earth, "we request permission to return home. Our exile is over. The hidden colonies of humanity are ready to rejoin our homeworld and take our place in the galaxy as a united species." As Jake watched Earth's leadership struggle to process the magnitude of what was happening, he realized that human history had just taken its most dramatic turn ever. The species that had seemed destined to remain confined to a single world had suddenly become a major galactic power, all because their ancestors had refused to give up hope even in the darkest circumstances. 3 months after the Great Liberation, Ambassador Claire Watson stood before the Galactic Council on what had once been Hegemon Prime. The massive space station had been renamed Unity Station, and its chambers now hosted representatives from dozens of species who were learning to navigate a galaxy where humanity was no longer a footnote in history, but a major power demanding respect. Claire's grandmother had been among the original colonists captured by the hegemony, and now her granddaughter addressed the same aliens who had once held her family prisoner. The irony was not lost on anyone present. Claire wore the simple blue uniform of the hidden colonies, a symbol that had become synonymous with human resilience throughout the galaxy. "Honored delegates," Claire began, her voice carrying clearly through the translation systems. "We gather today not as conquerors and conquered, but as neighbors seeking to build a better future for all species in known space." The hegemony leaders who had once ruled this chamber were now seated among the other delegates, their status reduced from overlords to equals. The transformation had been swift but remarkably peaceful. The hidden humans had proven their point not through destruction, but through demonstration of capability and restraint. Jake Morrison, now promoted to Admiral of Earth's exploration fleet, sat in the observation gallery watching history being made. Beside him, Ryan Blake wore the uniform of Governor of the Liberated Territories, a position he had never wanted but had accepted out of duty to his people. "The past 3 months have shown the galaxy what humanity learned during our centuries of exile," Claire continued. "We learned that strength without wisdom leads to tyranny. We learned that survival requires not just power but the patience to use it properly. Most importantly, we learned that freedom is not something that can be given or taken away. It must be earned and defended by each generation. Dr. Rodriguez had been busy since the liberation, sharing the advanced technology developed by the hidden colonies with both Earth and the former hegemony worlds, medical breakthroughs that could benefit all species, energy systems that were cleaner and more efficient than anything previously known, transportation technology that could revolutionize galactic commerce and exploration. We offer our knowledge freely to any species willing to embrace the principles of mutual respect and self-determination, Claire announced. The age of one group dominating all others is over. We propose a new galactic order based on cooperation rather than conquest. The delegates from various species were still adjusting to this new reality. For generations, the hegemony had maintained order through superior firepower and rigid control. Now they faced a human civilization that possessed superior technology but chose to use it for building alliances rather than enforcing submission. Katie Sullivan's engineering teams had already begun joint projects with species that had once been enemies. The ice miners of Europa Station were teaching thermal engineering to species from frozen worlds. The deep space colonies were sharing navigation techniques that could open up previously unreachable sectors of the galaxy. Colonel Sam Davis, now General of Combined Human Forces, had perhaps the most challenging job of all. His military units were working alongside former hegemony forces to maintain peace while the galaxy adjusted to its new structure. The discipline and professionalism his soldiers had learned during centuries of preparation were proving invaluable in preventing conflicts between species, learning to coexist as equals. Some of you may wonder about our intentions, Claire said, addressing the concerns that many delegates had whispered in private conversations. You see our technology, our military capabilities, our strategic advantages, and you fear that we seek to replace the hegemony with human domination. She paused and looked around the chamber, making eye contact with representatives of species that had once been part of humanity's capture and imprisonment. Let me be clear about our goals. We do not seek to rule the galaxy. We seek to explore it. We do not seek to conquer other species. We seek to learn from them and teach them in return. We do not seek revenge for our captivity. We seek to ensure that no species ever again faces the choice between submission and extinction. Nina Foster had been instrumental in establishing the new intelligence-sharing networks that were replacing the old spy systems of the hegemony era. Instead of gathering information for conquest, the new networks focused on preventing conflicts and facilitating trade between species that had never been allowed to interact directly under the old system. Agent Peter Collins, no longer operating under deep cover, had become the director of interspecies relations. His experience infiltrating hegemony installations had given him unique insights into how different species thought and communicated. Those skills were now being used to build bridges, rather than gather intelligence for military operations. The hidden colonies have voted to maintain our independence while establishing permanent diplomatic relations with all species, willing to recognize our sovereignty, Claire announced. We invite trade partnerships, cultural exchanges, and joint exploration missions to sectors of space that none of us could reach alone. Jake watched as delegates from dozens of species began to nod in agreement. The transformation was remarkable. In just 3 months, the galaxy had gone from a rigid hierarchy controlled by fear to a loose confederation of equals cooperating out of mutual benefit. Earth had benefited tremendously from reunification with the hidden colonies. The advanced technology and 2 centuries of accumulated knowledge were transforming human civilization at an unprecedented pace. New ships capable of reaching distant galaxies were already under construction. Scientific research programs that would have taken decades were being completed in months. Today we launch a new era of galactic civilization, Claire declared, gesturing to the viewports where the massive form of the exploration vessel New Earth could be seen docked at the station. Our ship will carry representatives from a dozen species to explore regions of space that have never been mapped. Together we will discover what lies beyond the boundaries of our current knowledge. The New Earth was a symbol of everything the hidden colonies had achieved. Built using the combined knowledge of all human settlements, crewed by volunteers from dozens of species, and equipped with technology that represented the best of galactic cooperation rather than competition. Ryan Blake smiled as he watched the ceremony concluding. His people had dreamed of this moment for generations, the day when humanity would return to the stars not as prisoners or conquerors but as free people, exploring the universe alongside their neighbors. Director Adams transmitted her congratulations from the Northern Ice Colony, where her engineers were already at work on the next generation of exploration vessels. Colonel Davis reported that all military forces remained on peaceful status while maintaining readiness to defend the new order if threatened. As the delegates filed out of the chamber, many stopped to speak with Claire personally. Species that had been enemies for centuries were making plans for joint ventures. Trade agreements were being negotiated that would benefit worlds across the galaxy. Scientific collaborations were forming that could unlock mysteries that no single species could solve alone. Jake stood and walked to the viewport, looking out at the new Earth preparing for its maiden voyage. Captain Morrison of 3 months ago could never have imagined that a routine salvage operation would lead to this moment, the dawn of a new age where humanity's greatest strength was not their technology or military might, but their determination to build a galaxy where all species could thrive in freedom. The hidden human civilization had achieved something unprecedented in galactic history. They had turned their greatest defeat into their ultimate victory, transforming centuries of captivity into the foundation for a new kind of civilization that valued wisdom over power, cooperation over conquest, and freedom over control. The age of hiding was over. The age of exploration had begun. The quantum communication array in New Haven's command center hummed with activity as Ryan Blake activated the encrypted channels that connected all 47 hidden human colonies across hegemony space. Jake Morrison watched in amazement as display screens lit up, showing the faces of colony leaders from across the galaxy. Each person looked different, shaped by centuries of life in their unique environments, but all shared the same determined expression. "Brothers and sisters," Ryan began, his voice carrying across light years of space instantly, "the moment we have prepared for has finally arrived. Captain Morrison's arrival from Earth confirms that our homeworld is still free and growing stronger. The time has come to end our long exile." A woman with silver hair appeared on one of the screens. Her skin was pale from decades of living in the ice caves of Europa Station, but her eyes burned with fierce intelligence. "Commander Blake, this is Director Carol Adams of the Northern Ice Colony. Our engineering teams have completed the final modifications to our ships. We have 60 vessels ready for combat operations, each equipped with stealth drives and quantum torpedoes." Another screen activated, showing a dark-skinned man with the muscled build of someone who had spent his life in heavy gravity. Colonel Sam Davis reporting from Haven's Rest. "Our military forces are at full readiness. We have trained for this operation our entire lives, as did our parents and grandparents before us. My soldiers know their duty." Jake was struck by the formal military bearing of these people. They spoke like professional officers, not like refugees or prisoners. 2 centuries of hidden preparation had created something the galaxy had never seen before. A human civilization built specifically for the purpose of reclaiming their freedom. "How many ships do we have in total?" Ryan asked. Numbers began appearing on screens as each colony reported their capabilities. Jake watched the totals climb higher and higher. 3,000 combat vessels, 5,000 support ships, over 2 million people ready to reveal themselves to the galaxy simultaneously. "Incredible," Jake whispered to himself. Tony Martinez, his engineer, was taking notes on everything he observed. The technology these people had developed was decades ahead of anything Earth possessed. A young man's face appeared on the central screen. He had the lean build and sharp eyes of someone who lived constantly on guard. "Agent Peter Collins reporting from deep cover on Hegemon Prime. All sleeper cells are in position and ready to activate. We have people in maintenance, communications, security, and even some low-level government positions. When the signal comes, we can disable their primary communication grid and defense systems for approximately 30 minutes. Jake's jaw dropped. "You have people inside their capital station?" Peter smiled grimly. "Captain, we've had people inside hegemony installations for over 50 years. They think we're just maintenance workers and technicians, invisible people who keep their systems running. They never imagined that those invisible people were gathering intelligence and preparing sabotage operations." Dr. Rodriguez from New Haven activated another display. "Our technical analysis of hegemony military capabilities is complete. Their weapons are powerful but slow to target. Their ships are heavily armored but lack maneuverability. Most importantly, their command structure is rigid and centralized. If we can disrupt their communications during the critical first minutes of our operation, their response will be chaotic and uncoordinated. Colonel Davis nodded in agreement. My tactical analysis supports those conclusions. The hegemony has been the dominant power for so long that they've become overconfident. They expect any threat to come from outside their territory, not from within. We'll have the element of complete surprise. What about civilian casualties? Asked Director Adams. We must ensure that innocent lives are protected during the operation. Our targets are strictly military and government installations, Ryan assured her. We're not seeking revenge against the hegemony population. We want recognition and freedom, not conquest. Our weapons will be set for minimal damage to ships and structures. We aim to disable and capture, not destroy. Nina Foster stepped forward with her tablet. I've been coordinating with our intelligence network across all colonies. The Hegemony Summit begins in exactly 18 standard days. All their leaders will be gathered on Hegemon Prime for 3 days of meetings. Security will be tight, but they'll be focused on external threats, not internal sabotage. 18 days, Ryan repeated thoughtfully. That gives us time for final preparations and coordination. Each colony knows their assigned targets and objectives. The simultaneous revelation must be precise. If even one colony acts too early or too late, the entire operation could fail. Jake found his voice. Commander Blake, what exactly happens when you reveal yourselves? What's the endgame here? Ryan's expression became serious. Captain Morrison, for 200 years the hegemony has told the galaxy that humanity was a failed species, too aggressive, too unpredictable, too dangerous to be allowed among the stars. They used our capture and apparent destruction as proof that they were right to limit the expansion of primitive species. But we survived, added Dr. Rodriguez. More than survived, we evolved. We became something they never expected, a human civilization that learned patience, planning, and cooperation on a scale they thought impossible. Director Adams leaned forward on her screen. When we reveal ourselves, we'll broadcast a simple message to every world in the galaxy. We'll show them our cities, our technology, our culture. We'll prove that humanity not only survived captivity, but used it to become stronger and wiser. And then, Jake pressed, Colonel Davis answered with military precision. Then we give the hegemony leadership a choice. They can acknowledge our independence and allow us to take our place as equals in galactic civilization. Or they can face the consequences of 2 centuries of preparation by a people who refuse to remain prisoners. Peter Collins's transmission came through clearly from his position deep inside enemy territory. The beauty of our position is that they can't simply destroy us anymore. We're spread across dozens of star systems, hidden in locations they don't even know exist. Even if they found and destroyed half our colonies, the remainder would continue the fight until humanity is free. Katie Sullivan joined the conversation from New Haven's engineering section. We've also prepared some surprises for them if they choose to fight rather than negotiate. Our ships may be smaller than theirs, but our technology is 200 years more advanced. We've had a lot of time to think about how to defeat a superior enemy force. The screens showed colony after colony, reporting ready status. Jake realized he was witnessing something unprecedented in human history. A coordinated military operation involving millions of people across dozens of star systems, all planned and executed by descendants of captured colonists who had never given up hope of freedom. Captain Morrison, Ryan said, turning to Jake, we need you to return to Earth immediately and inform your government of what you've discovered here. Earth Command needs to be prepared for what's coming. In 18 days, the galaxy will learn that humanity is far from extinct. We want our homeworld to be ready to welcome us back into the family of free human worlds. Jake nodded slowly. I understand. But what if Earth Command doesn't believe me? What if they think this is some kind of elaborate alien deception? Ryan smiled. Then they'll believe it when our ships arrive in Earth orbit right after the liberation operation succeeds. Either way, Captain, the age of hidden humanity is about to end. In 18 days, the galaxy will learn what happens when you try to cage the human spirit. The screens began shutting down as colony commanders returned to their final preparations. Jake looked around the command center, realizing that he had just witnessed the planning session for the most ambitious military operation in human history. In less than 3 weeks, these hidden colonies would attempt something that seemed impossible: simultaneous liberation from captivity and return to galactic civilization as a free and equal species. Ryan Blake led Jake Morrison and his crew deeper into the hidden colony of New Haven. The corridors were filled with the sounds of normal human life, conversations, laughter, the hum of machinery, and the footsteps of people going about their daily routines. What struck Jake most was how natural it all seemed, despite being hidden inside an artificial asteroid in the middle of hostile alien space. "How many people live here?" Jake asked as they passed a large common area where families were sharing meals together. Children played games while their parents talked quietly at nearby tables. "New Haven has a population of about 12,000, Ryan replied. "We are one of the smaller settlements. Some of the colonies have over 50,000 residents. The total human population in hiding is roughly 2 million people." Jake stopped walking. 2 million? How is that possible? How have you stayed hidden from the hegemony for so long? "Come, let me show you," Ryan said, leading them to an elevator that took them even deeper into the facility. When the doors opened, Jake found himself looking at something that seemed impossible. Before them stretched a massive underground chamber that extended far beyond what the asteroid's size should have allowed. "We learned to dig," said a woman's voice behind them. Jake turned to see a tall woman with short brown hair wearing work clothes covered in some kind of metallic dust. "I'm Katie Sullivan, chief engineer of this facility. What you're looking at is the result of 200 years of careful excavation and construction. The chamber was huge, easily large enough to hold a city, and it was filled with exactly that: buildings, streets, parks, and even what looked like a small lake with trees growing around its edges. The lighting came from panels in the ceiling that perfectly mimicked natural sunlight, complete with a day and night cycle. We didn't just survive," Katie continued, wiping her hands on a towel. "We thrived. Every generation has added to what their parents built. We've learned to use every cubic meter of space efficiently while making it feel like home." Tony Martinez, Jake's engineer, was staring at the construction with obvious amazement. "The engineering required for this is incredible. How did you power all of this without the hegemony detecting your energy signatures?" Katie smiled. "That's the beautiful part. We don't just use their technology, we've improved it. Watch this." She led them to a wall panel and pressed her hand against it. The panel lit up with a soft blue glow, then displayed a complex diagram of energy flows throughout the facility. "We developed what we call stealth power systems," Katie explained. "They generate the same energy as hegemony fusion reactors, but with emissions that look exactly like natural background radiation. To their sensors, we appear to be nothing more than a normal asteroid with some trace minerals." Dr. Alex Rodriguez joined them at the display. He was a thin man with gray hair who moved with the careful precision of someone who had spent decades working with delicate equipment. "The power systems are just the beginning," he said. "We've been studying hegemony technology for generations, learning how their systems work and finding ways to make them better." Alex activated another panel, and the display changed to show a 3-dimensional map of local space. Dozens of red dots marked hegemony ships, stations, and patrol routes. Green dots showed the locations of hidden human colonies, and Jake could see they were perfectly positioned to avoid detection while maintaining communication with each other. "We know where every hegemony ship is at all times," Alex continued. "We've tapped into their communication networks, infiltrated their computer systems, and mapped their military capabilities. They think their technology is superior, but they haven't improved it significantly in over a century. They became lazy and complacent. Meanwhile," Katie added, "we've been innovating out of necessity. When you're hiding from a vastly superior enemy, you learn to be creative with limited resources. Our ship designs are smaller but faster than theirs. Our weapons are less powerful but more accurate. Our computers are built to be undetectable, but can process information faster than their military systems." Jake was beginning to understand the scope of what these people had accomplished. "You've been preparing for war." "Not war," Ryan said firmly. "Liberation. There's a difference. We don't want to conquer the hegemony or destroy their civilization. We want them to acknowledge that we have the right to exist as free people." A young woman approached their group. She had blonde hair tied back in a practical ponytail and carried a tablet covered with data. "Commander Blake, the latest intelligence reports are ready for review." "Thank you, Nina," Ryan said. Captain Morrison, meet Nina Foster. She coordinates our intelligence operations across all 47 colonies. Nina shook Jake's hand with a firm grip. Captain, your arrival here is perfectly timed. We've been monitoring hegemony communications for months, and they're planning something big. A grand summit of all their species leaders in 3 weeks. She activated her tablet and showed Jake a detailed map of a massive space station. This is Hegemon Prime, their capital station. Every major leader of every species in their coalition will be there at the same time. It's the perfect opportunity for a coordinated action. What kind of action? Jake asked. Though he suspected he already knew, Alex answered. We're going to reveal ourselves to the galaxy. All 47 colonies will decloak simultaneously and broadcast our message of independence to every world in known space. We'll demand recognition as a sovereign people and the right to reclaim our place among the stars. And if they refuse? Jake pressed. Katie's expression became serious. Then we'll show them that 200 years of preparation has consequences. We have weapons they've never seen, ships they can't detect, and strategic advantages they don't even know exist. Most importantly, we have something they lost long ago. What's that? The willingness to fight for our freedom, Ryan said simply. The hegemony has been the dominant power for so long that they've forgotten what it's like to face an opponent who refuses to surrender. They captured our ancestors thinking they were eliminating a potential threat. Instead, they created something far more dangerous, a human civilization with nothing left to lose and everything to fight for. Nina brought up another display showing communication logs between the colonies. Every settlement has been developing different specializations over the past 2 centuries. The ice miners became master engineers. The deep space colonists perfected long-range tactics. The asteroid dwellers learned stealth and concealment. When we combine all our capabilities, we'll be facing them with advantages they can't possibly expect. Jake looked around at the faces of these people. They were calm, confident, and determined. These were not desperate prisoners planning a hopeless escape attempt. These were the descendants of colonists who had spent generations preparing for this moment. How can we help? Jake asked. Ryan smiled. Captain Morrison, your ship represents something invaluable to us. Direct contact with Earth. For 200 years, we've been cut off from our homeworld. We need you to return and tell Earth Command what you found here. Tell them that their lost colonists are not only alive, but ready to return to the family of free human worlds. Will Earth believe such an incredible story? Jake wondered. They'll believe it when they see our ships arriving in Earth orbit, Katie said with confidence. We've built vessels capable of making the journey to Earth and back. We've just been waiting for the right moment to reveal ourselves. Alex nodded in agreement. The liberation of the hidden colonies is just the first phase of our plan. The second phase is reuniting with Earth and sharing everything we've learned. Imagine what humanity could accomplish when we combine Earth's resources with our advanced technology. Jake realized that he had stumbled into something far larger than a simple rescue mission. He had discovered the beginning of a new chapter in human history. The hidden colonies were not just planning to free themselves. They were preparing to transform humanity's place in the galaxy forever. Captain Jake Morrison stared at the scanning display on his ship's bridge. The readings made no sense at all. What looked like a dead asteroid on the outside was showing massive energy signatures from deep within its rocky shell. His salvage crew had come to this remote sector looking for scrap metal and abandoned mining equipment. Instead, they had found something that defied all logic. Lisa, run those scans again, Jake said to his communications officer. Lisa Chang had been with his crew for 3 years and never made mistakes with the equipment. Her fingers moved quickly across the control panel as she ran a deep scan of the strange object floating in space before them. Same results, Captain, Lisa replied. The asteroid is hollow inside and there are definite power sources active. I'm also picking up something else. She paused and looked at Jake with confusion in her eyes. Sir, I think I'm hearing transmissions in English. Jake felt his heart skip a beat. English meant humans, but humans had never been this far into alien territory. The hegemony controlled this sector of space and had made it clear that human ships were not welcome here. No Earth vessel had traveled this deep into their space in over 200 years. Put it on speakers, Jake ordered. The bridge fell silent as Lisa activated the transmission. Static filled the air, then voices became clear. They were definitely speaking English, but the accent was strange, like an old dialect mixed with something else entirely. Mining Shift 7 reports all clear in Sector 12. Energy output is stable. No signs of detection from patrol routes, came a man's voice through the static. Confirmed Shift 7, maintain radio silence protocols during the next cycle, replied another voice, this one belonging to a woman. Jake looked at his crew members. His engineer, Tony Martinez, was shaking his head in disbelief. Security Chief Karen Foster had her hand on her weapon. Though Jake could not imagine what threat voices from inside an asteroid could pose to their ship. Captain, Lisa whispered. These people are talking like they live in there. Like they have been living in there for a very long time. Jake made a decision that would change everything. Prepare the boarding shuttle. Tony, grab your cutting tools. Karen, bring a full security kit but keep weapons on stun only. Lisa, you stay here and monitor all channels. If we don't report back in 4 hours, jump to hyperspace and contact Earth Command immediately. The shuttle bay of the mining station Omega-7 opened, and Jake's small boarding craft launched toward the asteroid. As they got closer, Tony's scanners revealed something remarkable. The rocky surface was not natural at all, but carefully crafted to look like a normal space rock. Hidden beneath the fake stone were metal panels and docking ports. There, Tony pointed to what looked like a crack in the rock face. That's an airlock. Someone has gone to a lot of trouble to hide it, but the design is definitely human. Jake guided the shuttle to the hidden docking port. The connection was smooth and automatic, which meant the technology was advanced and well-maintained. As the airlock cycled, Jake felt his pulse racing. Whatever they were about to discover would either be the most important find in human history or get them all killed. The inner door opened to reveal a corridor that took Jake's breath away. The walls were clean metal with soft lighting that seemed to glow from within the panels themselves. The air was fresh and carried the familiar sense of a human habitat. Most shocking of all, the artificial gravity felt exactly like Earth normal. "Hello," called a voice from down the corridor. Jake spun around to see a man walking toward them. He was tall with dark hair and wore a simple blue uniform that looked like nothing Jake had ever seen. The man appeared to be in his 30s and moved with the confidence of someone completely comfortable in this environment. "My name is Ryan Blake," the stranger said with a slight smile. "I am the commander of this facility. We have been waiting a very long time for someone like you to find us." Jake found his voice after a moment of stunned silence. "Commander Blake, I'm Captain Jake Morrison of the Earth Salvage Vessel Ranger. How is it possible that humans are living out here? This is hegemony space. No human ship has been in this sector for generations." Ryan's smile faded and his expression became serious. "Captain Morrison, your history books are incomplete. Humans have been in this sector for over 200 years. We are the descendants of the colonists who were captured during humanity's first expansion into deep space. The hegemony took our ancestors prisoner and brought them here to study them like animals in a laboratory." The words hit Jake like a physical blow. Captured? But Earth Command reported those colony ships as lost in space. We thought they were destroyed by accidents or equipment failures. "No," Ryan said quietly. "They were taken. Thousands of humans from dozens of colony missions. The hegemony wanted to understand what made humans different from other species. They put our people in controlled environments and watched them for decades. But something unexpected happened." Ryan gestured for them to follow him deeper into the facility. As they walked, Jake saw more people in the corridors. Men and women of all ages, some working on complex machinery, others tending to what looked like gardens growing under artificial sunlight. Children played in open spaces while adults watched them with obvious affection. "What happened?" Jake asked, though part of him already suspected the answer. "Our ancestors learned," Ryan replied. "They studied their captors just as carefully as they were being studied. They watched and waited and planned. Generation by generation, they gathered intelligence and developed technology. Most importantly, they never forgot who they were or where they came from. They entered a large chamber filled with computer displays and people working at various stations. The technology was clearly advanced, far beyond anything Jake had seen on Earth. The displays showed star maps, ship movements, and what looked like surveillance data from across the entire sector. "This is New Haven," Ryan explained, one of 47 hidden human settlements scattered across hegemony space. "For 2 centuries we have been building, learning, and preparing. Our captors believe they destroyed human civilization long ago. They have no idea we are still here, still growing stronger every day." Jake stared at the displays showing the locations of hidden human colonies. Each one represented thousands of people living in secret, developing technology and culture far from Earth's knowledge. The scale of it was overwhelming. Preparing for what? Jake asked, though he thought he already knew. Ryan looked directly into Jake's eyes. Preparing to take back our freedom. Preparing to show the galaxy that humanity cannot be caged. Preparing to return to the stars as equals, not as prisoners. He paused. Captain Morrison, your arrival here today is not an accident. It is the beginning of the end of our long captivity.